Okay, we are going to look at snaps here in a quick 10 minutes. You should have already kind of developed affinity for doing shift right click, and we're going to continue to do that here. We're going to talk about each of the individual snaps in a 2D sense, and then I'm going to talk to you about 3D as well, just so you can understand why you are developing this sense of shift right click as things get more confusing as you shift into 3 dimensions. So I am going to they're drafting here in 2009. I'll let you know that snaps change slightly from year to year, but not significantly. Remember, we're going to turn all these toggles off along the bottom, and we're going to go ahead and switch into the model space, which is the black space here. Okay, so we've kind of got that laid out, and we're just going to draft a couple things. So we're going to draft a line, and I'm going to go ahead and change the line weight on a few of these things. So you'll see I got a toggle there called line weight. I'm hitting escape. I'm going to turn off my keyboard again, hitting escape so I can deselect. And then I want to go ahead and make a line, a couple of lines, a couple of circles, an arc, which is a portion of a circle. The arc, if you're going to use the tools in AutoCAD to draft them, should be like the circle, and you pull it down from the ribbon. So you'll see that in a second here. Still hoping that this thing connects. There it does. So there's a line. I'm going to go out to layers here. Okay, this is the layer property manager. The command to go there is LA for layer. I'm going to go ahead and change the line width at great, not wanting to move, but at great peril, because we all know that a line is actually infinitely thin. So every time you change a line weight in AutoCAD, you got to tell yourself, okay, I'm really not changing the line weight. It's really a line weight of 0, but for looking at it, I'm going to change that. Hit a click there. This thing's having issues today. And I'm going to hit close that. All right, now if you notice here, I've got a line weight. It's called center line. I've got a line there. I'm going to draw another line on the plane, right? Not parallel. One of my 3 choices. I'm going to draw a circle out here. I'm going to draw another circle here. And I'm going to then draw an arc. If you go to home, push out the ribbon, push it back out again. You have the 3D view here. So I'm going to bring in the 2D. That's changing the workspace here. Hopefully the 2D works here. And you now have the kind of question of an arc. You have a lot of choices for an arc. So I'm going to go right now a start, end, and then an angle is going to be, we'll go ahead and make that a relatively small angle in between. There you go. Maybe somewhere in the 20-degree range. And I've got a small angle there. So you can actually put in a polyline. I'll do that. Put in a polyline. Here's a rectangle. That's a pretty common entity. You could put in another polyline by way of putting in a polygon. So a 9-sided polygon. Center there, inscribed. And if you don't know it yet, the best way to go about and do polygons is to actually draw the circle first and then put the polygon. So I'm going to escape, 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 Z space, E space. I'm kind of like there. I'm going to lay in a view, V for view. I'm not going to draw the box right now, but I'm just going to say a new view. Clicky clicks off, and then give it a name, temp view. Right? That's just a habit that you want to develop so that you can come back if you get lost in your drawing. Hit OK. Hit apply. OK. Now I'm going to start drawing some lines using snaps. We do that, of course, by typing L or using there. So I'm going to push this back out of the way, and I'm just going to tell you what I'm typing as I go through. L spacebar for line, shift right click. Alright, so what are our choices? Well, let's skip these ones up here, which are kind of advanced-ish, right? advanced-ish, mid between 2 points, pretty useful. You could also draw a line and draw from the midpoint of that line and erase the line. So they're kind of about efficiency. I hope you already know the endpoint. Once you do that, it will grab from an endpoint. If I try to do the endpoint of a circle, it will not find it. If I do it in a polyline, it'll find the endpoint of the one edge, and if I do it on an arc, it will find it on the edge of the arc. So that is the endpoint. Pretty straightforward. Let me go ahead and, after I draw these things, go ahead and right-click Properties and change their properties to something else. I'll make that to the object layer, or maybe to the hidden layer, sorry. Okay, that is the endpoint. Lots of uses in 2D and 3D. I'll go ahead and just show you. I've got a little toolbar thought up here. Line, shift, right click, midpoint. Pretty obvious. You have a midpoint. Sometimes it's hard to find where you're going at. It's a midpoint there. You have a midpoint on a line. You have a midpoint on a segment within a polyline, and you have a midpoint of an arc. You do not have a midpoint of a circle, because a circle is infinite. Right click, properties, and you start to realize now that, boy, it'd be a lot easier just to do this. Change your current layer to something different. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to say LA for layer command. I'm going to click on the hidden line, double click here on the hidden line layer, and I'm going to actually change the color on that so we can see it a little bit different. So we see that coming in green. And we'll go ahead and change the width on that to something different as well. Remembering, of course, that lines have no width, so anytime we're doing that, it's just for the purposes of what we can see on the screen. I'm going to say L for line, shift right click, intersection. Obviously things have intersections when they connect to each other and run into each other. Polylines have, now that's a pretty, if you notice you have the object snap tracking here, or it's trying to find this kind of general, trying to find an intersection of that and that. So I don't necessarily like that command. I mean, I like the intersection, but the fact that it's trying to force more on you than you're asking for. But I'll do that again. E, L, A for last. Alright, LA is a great selection set maker. I'm going to say line, shift right click, the intersection of that or that or that, and what you see otherwise here, it's trying to find an intersection, like, or here, intersection of this, right, and this. It won't be able to find it. It'll only find things that actually intersect, right, with that. So let's try that again. We're going to put a line in here and see if, in fact, if I put a line out here, if it finds the intersection between the circle and that line, even though the line is not extended. Line, shift right, click, intersection, the intersection of that, and boy, it finds it there, and it finds it there. I'm going to call that sweet. Very often, you might instead visually extend this line up and then do that, but that intersection, you'll realize that that's why it's doing it cross dot dot dot, because it hasn't actually found the intersection yet. I'll show that one more time. Shift right click from the intersection of maybe that circle and this arc. Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Let's see if it actually works. Intersection of that. And we go out here, and now we can check that by saying extend EX space, screw that. Click that, and that extends exactly to that. So it's doing some pretty severe math. So that is the intersection. Line, shift, right click. The apparent intersection will in fact be about when you have things in 3D. So the apparent intersection of that, as you see, it's grabbing a bunch of different intersections. That intersection can get a little odd, I have to say. Alright, I want to finish off with shift right click, line, shift right click from the center. Obviously try to grab the edge until you get the center. We'll finish this up and do it again and do some more. next segment.